Welcome to Apex Philosophy, the perfect place to find motivation. Be sure to subscribe and listen every day so you can become your best self. Please like and share the video to help inspire others. Today we are starting a 3-part series. In this series we are going to read the Enchiridion, or the Manual, by Epictetus. Epictetus was a Roman philosopher that lived from 50 AD to 135 AD. He was known for his stoic philosophies. He was born into slavery and was freed around age 18 when he began teaching philosophy in Rome. He believed that philosophy was a way of life and not simply a theoretical discipline. The Enchiridion is one of the great Stoic texts and teaches some of the most important tenets of Stoic philosophy. I did my best to translate the ancient texts into something easier to understand while keeping true to the intended message. But if you find any mistakes, feel free to correct me in the comments. I've also put a link to the original translation in the description. The Enchiridion, or Manual, by Epictetus, paraphrased by Stephen Shade. Part 1, Chapters 1 through 20. Chapter 1. In life, there are things that are in our control, and others that are not. The things we have control over are our opinions, the goals we choose to pursue, our desires, and aversions, or things we avoid. In other words, our own actions. The things not in our control are our body, property, reputation, and social standing. In other words, other people's actions, thoughts, or opinions. This includes Mother Nature. The things that are within our control are naturally free and not restricted, while the things not within our control are weak and subject to the control of others. If you believe that things that are naturally subservient are free, and those under the control of others are yours, you will be hindered, distressed, and blame both gods and humans. But if you recognise that only what is within your control is truly yours, and that what belongs to others is not yours, no one will be able to force you. You will not blame anyone. You will not do anything against your will, and no one will harm you. Therefore, you will have no enemies and will not suffer any harm. If you want to achieve great things, keep in mind that it will require a lot of effort, and you may need to put aside some things for now. However, if you also want power and wealth, prepare yourself, for you may not get them without great sacrifice. The key to happiness and freedom is to recognise that appearances can be deceiving, and to focus on what is within your control. When faced with a difficult situation, remind yourself that this is just an appearance, and evaluate it based on whether it is within your control or not. If it is not within your control, remember that it is not your concern. Chapter 2. Remember that every desire contains in it the hope of obtaining that which you desire, and the hope in avoiding something is that you will not fall prey to that thing. And so if you fail to obtain your desires, you will be sad, and if you fail to avoid something, you will be miserable. So if you try to avoid only the things that are bad for you that are within your power, you will be able to succeed and bring joy into your life. But if you attempt to avoid disease or death, or anything outside of your control, you will be unhappy. So remove your aversion from all things which are not in our power, and focus on the negative things which are in our power. Completely remove the desire to control things outside your power right now. For if you desire anything which is not in your power to control, you will be disappointed. However, If you desire only the things within your power to control, and which would be good for you, then nothing can stop you. You can only employ the power of moving toward an object or away from it. Chapter 3. Remember to always keep in mind the true nature of things when you find pleasure or satisfaction in them, or when you love them. For example, if you love a clay pot, remind yourself that it is just a clay pot. So if it breaks, you won't be upset. Then consider bigger things like your child or spouse. And when you're kissing your spouse or child, remind yourself that they are only human. So they will one day pass away. So when they do, you won't be as distressed. Chapter 4. When you go about doing something, consider all possibilities and accept each outcome that could occur, no matter how unlikely. Also, think of all of the things that come with doing that thing and accept them as natural and part of the process. Seek to live in harmony with the nature of the task. Do not fight against it. For example, if you are going to take a bath, think of the potential for splashing water, people pushing each other, others causing harm or stealing items. By doing this, you will be better prepared to handle any challenges that may arise and maintain your composure and control of your actions. This same approach can be applied to any activity you undertake. If something unexpected occurs, remind yourself that your goal was not just to complete the task, but also to align yourself with the nature of the task. If you get upset by unprecedented events, it will be harder to maintain self-control. Chapter 5. We are not disturbed by things that happen, but by the opinions we have about those things. For example, death is not so terrible, or it would have appeared so to Socrates, but the fear of death is created by thinking of death as a terrible thing. When we are hindered, disturbed, or grieved, do not attribute it to outside forces, but to our own thinking. It is the mark of an ignorant person to blame others for their own problems, while someone who is learning will blame themselves. A person who is fully educated will not blame others or themselves. Chapter 6. Do not be proud of any qualities that belong to someone else. For example, if a horse is proud of its appearance, it may be tolerable, but if you are proud of having a beautiful horse, it is clear that you are only proud of something that belongs to someone else. So, what do you really have to be proud of? Your ability to use its appearances to your advantage. To live in harmony, you must be proud of only the skills and talents that you possess. Chapter 7. Life is like a ship at sea, and fate its captain. Sometimes the ship goes to port, and you may walk on the beach and admire the seashells. But you must always keep an ear out for the captain's call, so you can leave the shells on the beach and get back on the boat in a timely manner. Or else you'll be bound and pitched into the ship like sheep, or worse, marooned on the island and starve to death. It is best to live in harmony with fate. Be thankful for and enjoy the people and things that enter your life, but be ready to abandon them when the captain gives the call. Chapter 8. Do not try to make things happen the way you want them to. Instead, accept things as they are, and you will have a peaceful life. Chapter 9. Sickness may impede the body, but it won't impede your will unless you allow it to. Similarly, Physical limitations, like lameness, can affect a body, but won't impede your will to walk. Remember this when facing any obstacle or challenge. It may be an obstacle for something else, but it does not have to be an obstacle for you personally. Chapter 10. For everything you come across, think of what virtue you need to overcome it. If you come across an attractive person, think, I need self-restraint. If you are in pain, think, I need fortitude. If you face criticism, think, I need humility and patience. Building this habit will prepare you for anything you may encounter. Chapter 11. Never say that you have lost anything, but instead say that you have restored it. Is your child dead? They have been restored. Is your wife dead? She has been restored. Has your estate been taken from you? Even that can be restored. But the person who took it from you is a bad person. However, it's not your concern how the giver asks for it back. As long as you are allowed to possess it, take care of it as if it belongs to someone else, just like travellers do with their belongings. Chapter 12. If you want to improve yourself, don't focus on negative thoughts like, if I don't take care of my responsibilities, I won't have enough money to live, or if I don't discipline my slave, they'll be bad. It's better to suffer from hunger and be free from worry and fear than to have a lot of money and be constantly anxious. And it's better for your slave to be imperfect than for you to be unhappy. Start by paying attention to small things. If oil gets spilled or a little wine gets stolen, recognize that it is the price to pay for peace and tranquility. Remember, nothing is free. When you call your slave, consider that they might not hear you, or even if they do, they might not do what you want. But it is not at all desirable for him, and very undesirable for you, that it should be in his power to cause you any disturbance. Do not give these things power over you and your emotions. Chapter 13. If you want to improve, be willing to be seen as foolish, and do not seek the approval of others. Aim to be seen as knowing nothing, and if others see you as important, be skeptical of yourself. Be assured, it is not easy to keep yourself in harmony with nature and keep up the appearance of success to those around you, for if you are focused on one, you will surely ignore the other. Chapter 14. If you expect your children, your spouse, or other loved ones to live forever, you are a fool. For you are expecting things outside of your power that belong to forces outside your control. Just like expecting for the weather to be perfect every day is foolish. If you wish to avoid disappointment, focus your desires on things in your control. People tend to become a slave to their desired outcome, and if that outcome is out of your control, then you will become a slave to the person who has power over that thing. To be free, do not ever hope for, wish for, desire for, or have expectations for things under someone else's control, else you will indeed become their slave. Chapter 15. Remember that you must behave as if you are attending a banquet. If something is brought to you, reach out and take only a moderate share. If it passes you by, do not try and stop it. If it hasn't come yet, don't yearn for it, but wait patiently until it arrives. Do this with all things: children, a spouse, a promotion, or riches. By following this advice, you will be a worthy participant at the feasts of the gods. And if you do not take from the things which are set before you, but are instead able to forego them, then you will not only be worthy to feast with the gods, but to rule with them as well. Patience and temperance, therefore, are worthy of the gods, and you will be rewarded for exercising them. Chapter 16. When you see someone crying in sadness, whether it's because a child has left or died, or because they've lost their possessions, don't be swayed by their appearance as if they're suffering from external circumstances. Instead, distinguish in your mind that it is not the event itself that's causing their distress, but rather their perception of it. While it's okay to show them verbal sympathy, and even to outwardly mourn with them, make sure you don't also internally mourn as well. Chapter 17. Remember that you are an actor in a play, chosen by the author or fate to perform a specific role. If the role is a short one, play it naturally. If it is a long one, do the same. Whether you are playing the part of a poor person, a lame person, a magistrate, a common man, your duty is to play that part well. But keep in mind that it is not your responsibility to choose the role you play. That is up to someone else. Chapter 18. If you happen across a dead raven, or a black cat should cross your path, or your horoscope warns you of bad times to come, do not give it meaning, but instead say, there is no such thing as a bad omen. Whether something terrible should happen to my paltry body, property, reputation, children, or spouse, for all events are good if I will them to be. For it is my job to find the good in all things. I am able to see it as a blessing, and will find the silver lining. If a raven dies in an ominous way, don't be too quick to worry about it. Instead, think clearly and tell yourself, none of these things are meant for me, but perhaps for my body, possessions, reputation, children, or spouse. But for me, everything is positive if I choose to see it that way. I am able to see it as a blessing. Whatever happens, I have the power to gain something from it. It is my job to find the good in all things, the silver lining. Chapter 19. You can be unbeatable if you don't compete in things that you can't win. Be careful not to think that someone is happy just because they are respected, powerful, or held in high esteem. Do not envy or become jealous of someone else, because you already have the power to be happy within yourself. Do not aspire to gather accolades, but instead aspire to be free. And the way to do that is to not care about things that are out of our control. You cannot control how people view you. So do not seek fame, but instead seek mastery. Chapter 20. Remember, it's not the person who insults or harms you that causes you to feel offended or upset. It's your own belief that their words or actions are insulting or hurtful. So when someone irritates you, it's important to remember that it's your own perspective that's causing you to feel that way. Don't let appearances deceive you. If you can take a moment to pause and think about things, you'll be better able to control your emotions. Thank you for listening. Look for parts 2 and 3. Comment below what was your favourite chapter and why. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.